Who here has ever been afraid of something? Can I see a raise of hands? And now keep your hands, keep them raised, or keep them raised if you've ever let fear stop you from doing something that you wanted. And just look around and notice that this is part of the human condition. Now you can shake it off. And notice that you're not alone in that. We all have felt it, and I certainly have. So I grew up working in sweatshops. So I was the little girl on the factory floor making clothes for people more privileged than I could have ever dreamed of. But I lived in a constant state of fear. I was terrified of other people. I was terrified of being noticed. And I was actually just terrified of just existing. The problem is, the system isn't just unfair. It's actually banking on the fact that you'll be afraid and that you'll remain silent, that you'll keep your head down, and that maybe you'll look around and go, well, no one else is saying anything, so maybe they know something that I don't know, so I'll just be quiet. The world is riddled with systemic injustice and systemic fears, from politics to our workplaces, and even, and most importantly, within ourselves. But how do we overcome this? We need something better. We need a new idea. And so, we need a braver vision of the future. We need to be able to picture a future that we're proud of and work our way towards that. So as that 6-year-old in the factory floor, I desperately wished for a way out, for a better life, but I couldn't see one. And so I sat in my little corner and I dreamed and I hoped and I pictured a 20-year-old version of Helen. And I thought she was gonna be amazing. I thought she was gonna be smart. She knew things. I saw her as hilariously funny. And most of all, I saw her as brave. And so in those quiet little moments, I would imagine her saying to me, I know it's really hard right now, but it's not always going to be hard. So what's one thing you can do right now to walk a little bit closer to me? So as that 6-year-old, I started creating little challenges for myself. So one day, just today, I'm gonna look at one person in the eye and then look away because people are really scary. And then day 5 and day 10 and day 20, and then maybe then I'll graduate to, maybe today I can say hi to someone because people are still really scary. And then 100 times, 1,000 times. Maybe today I'll raise my hand in class. Maybe the 10,000th time, I might say, I disagree, but I have a different idea. So often we see the success story, but we rarely see the 50,000 times that human has tried, failed, and then fallen flat on their face, and then tried again. And so what felt like 100,000 times of failing, at some point, I started to go, maybe I can do this. And at 20 years old, I was able to stand up. And at 20 years old, I did get a full scholarship to go to Harvard. I trained as a social psychologist, and what I know now is that being able to talk to your future self is an incredibly powerful way to mitigate present moment fears. Scientists call this temporal self-continuity, which is the idea that the more emotionally connected that you feel to your future self, the more likely it is that you're actually going to take steps and action towards that future self to serve that future self. Today, I work with people, teams, and companies who want to actually intentionally design their future instead of reacting with fear. Oh, bad things are happening. How do I react to it? How do you actually take an intentional step to building the future? I worked with a woman who was absolutely brilliant, but she felt trapped and stuck in a job because she was tired of making rich people richer, and she wanted to make a difference in the world. But often she would say to me, well, Helen, what if I leave my job, fall flat on my face, end up broke and homeless, and then I'll have to move into my parents' basement where I'll just end up eating Cheetos and watching Friends reruns for the next 60 years? And I told her, that may be true. You never know. But what would your future self 5 years from now advise you to do? And she gave me a face that looked like this. I would do it anyway. And so flash forward a few years. She's now been recognized as Forbes 30 Under 30 changemakers. She's spoken at the United Nations, and she's hailed now as one of the voices of a young generation bringing hope to humanity. Imagine if she had felt paralyzed and stuck in that fear and didn't do anything. We often feel so paralyzed by our present moment fears, but future you is already past that. So today, I'm going to offer you an exercise that you can do today. I want you to, during a break or after today's conference, to take out your phone and record a selfie video talking to your future self. Because then, in that video, you don't have to even imagine your future self. You're face to face with him or her. And after you record that video, I want you to watch it immediately. It's going to be uncomfortable, but I'd like for you to watch it immediately. Because if you remember anything from today's talk, I want you to remember that your future self is already proud of you. And in order to build a world that you're proud of, in order to become a version of you that you're proud of, and for all those little girls in the factories all around the world, we need you to show up as the bravest version of yourself. And can you imagine how beautiful the world might look like if we did?